Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Criminal Minds Season 2, Episode 10, Lessons Learned. The episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So in this episode, we have a drug bust gone wrong because what it turns out to be is not actually a drug lab, but a secret terror cell taking place, and so the team then has to figure out who's behind it and what their end goal is because they managed to escape through an escape tunnel before they get there. This leads to the team splitting into three groups. First group is Reed, Emily, and Gideon, who go to interview a prisoner that's been detained, who is believed to be the mastermind behind the cell. Then Aaron and Derek go to the actual scene that they found to try to find clues and to continue to track them to try to stop the attack before it happens, learning as they do that it is going to be an anthrax attack. And then the last pair is JJ and Garcia, who are basically doing the computer side of things to try to look up the information that needs to be looked up and track dates, buildings, past events, etc., etc. Anyways, Gideon does the interview while Emily and Reed watch through cameras to study body language, nuance, etc., while Gideon does the actual interrogation, and ultimately it ends with Gideon tricking Jamal into believing it's after sunset. So he ends up giving away, thinking that he's been successful in the attack, where the attack is actually happening, with an hour to spare. This leads Derek and Aaron to arrive at the Grand Mall opening where they were going to release the anthrax, and they find everybody on the roof. Unfortunately, because they are radicals, they do not survive the encounter. The criminals, I mean, do not survive the encounter. And basically the attack is stopped, everybody in the mall is safe, and it was particularly difficult for Aaron because his wife and son were supposed to go to that particular Grand Mall opening to have portraits taken of Jack. However, luckily, Haley did decide to cancel that because she wanted Aaron to be there with them. So they weren't actually in danger, but Aaron didn't know that until he got home. And that essentially is what happened in this episode, in a very simplified form. So now that we've been reminded, it is time to rank the episode, first on our mostly objective ranking, followed by the personal ranking. So we have our single episode supporting character introductions. We have the two DEA agents who manage to find the initial scene and then also go with Aaron and Derek to each of the other scenes as well. And that is Agent Bonnie Ryan and Agent Kenny Norwood. And then we also have who is in Guantanamo, and that is Jamal Abaza. So that's 3 points. Then there's 4 points for the multi-season main character development. Obviously, this is the first time Emily is actively working a case with the team, and it is revealed that because her mother was an ambassador for the US, she grew up living in multiple Middle Eastern countries when she was a child, and is also fluent in Arabic, which is what allows them to translate the initial note and start the investigation. Also why she was brought to the interview just in case, so that, because she's fluent, she can study the behavior alongside what is being said. So we get some interesting backstory for her, and that's worth 4 points, bringing us up to 7. And then we take 2 points because the episode was only semi-memorable. I remember the interview side of the episode because that's something that they don't do super frequently. However, I completely forgot about the other half of the episode, and so semi-memorable seemed to fit, which does ultimately bring this to be a 5 out of 10 episode. And that then brings us to the mostly objective ranking list, which is currently in first place North Mammon, The Fisher King 2, Aftermath, Empty Planet, The Perfect Storm, The Boogeyman, The Last Word. This episode comes in 8th, Lessons Learned. And then P911 and Psychodrama in 10th place. My personal ranking of this episode, honestly, it didn't speak to me personally. I don't really like religious themes, so that was already a turnoff. And then, they had the episodes split into multiple parts, which I did enjoy. You had some action side with Derek and Aaron. You had the more cerebral side with the interview, and then you had the techie side with Garcia and JJ. So it was a good episode. I think it was well balanced. It wasn't the most entertaining episode. Like I said, it was only semi-memorable, but I still found it interesting. And I already find that I like Emily better than I liked Elle. I just think that she's more competent at her job already. And honestly, most of the points came because I did enjoy this episode introducing Emily as a character because, like I said, I do think that she's very competent, and I did like this episode more so than I did many of the ones that had Elle in it. So I think she's a good addition to the team. I like that we've already gotten some information and backstory for her. I do think it is a bit unfair, though, because she's getting more development than some of the characters that have been there from season 1, simply because she's new, so they're taking the time to introduce her. But overall, I didn't hate the episode. Definitely wasn't my favorite. And so I decided to ultimately give it a 6 out of 10, which brings the personal ranking to in first North Mammon, Aftermath, The Boogeyman, Psychodrama, The Last Word, The Fisher King 2, Empty Planet, The Perfect Storm. Lessons Learned this episode is in 9th place, and then P911 is still holding that last position. Which now brings us to the series ranking so far. And we had on our mostly objective ranking list season 1 ending with a score of 56.36%, and season 2 now has a score of 63 out of a possible 230. Then on the personal ranking side, season 1 ended at exactly 50%, and season 2 so far has a score of 78 out of a possible 230. But with that, we have now rewatched and ranked Criminal Minds Season 2, Episode 10, Lessons Learned. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.